Bonjour, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. And next up on the kind of series of decks that I got recently at the Reader's Studio is the Zerner Farber Tarot. Now, this is not a new deck. This is one that has been around for many years. But it's existed in a couple iterations over the years, and this is, in my opinion, quite a successful one. It's also a deck that I've always really loved. And for some reason, I never got the original version of it. I think just other things always distracted me. When I started reading, I wasn't rich. Not that I'm rich now, you know what I mean? But I was struggling financially, so I really had to be judicious about what I bought. And then it went on print. And then it's come back into print in a few ways over the years, a few different editions. So the one that I'm used to is this, which is the Enchanted Tarot, I think is what it's called. It's the same deck, but you can see that it's these really large, thin cards. And these are trimmed. So this actually, you can see the border down here, like the green where it says Three of Pentacles. That would have extended all the way around. So these were originally a little taller and wider. They were very difficult to shuffle, so I trimmed them. And, you know, like trimmed decks, they don't shuffle all that well. It shuffles a little better. But as a result, just untrimmed or trimmed, it was always just too big to use for me. And you can see that I have used it, you know what I mean? But it never really worked. This new edition is basically the same deck. It's just much smaller. And this bag did not come with it. This is a bag I picked up. But I just liked the jewel tone vibe. So this is the new edition, which is called the Zerner Farber Tarot, as compared to, actually it'd probably be easier to see if I do it this way, the Enchanted Tarot edition, which is the same deck but much, much larger. So this is more pocket-sized, actually, much more than this. If I were to compare it to a more typical tarot size, we'll come back to this thing again because it's the one that I used in the last video for the Clarity Tarot. Again, much smaller than a typical tarot card, which I like. I don't think I'll need this again. In fact, it's on the edge of being pocket-sized, which for someone with small hands is nice. I'm going to tell you something that I would not normally say. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, printings I have ever seen Red Feather do. This is Red Feather, right? Yes. I don't know. It feels in a lot of ways similar to the printing of the, what is this? Of the Bonefire Tarot. Like the cardstock feels similar, and it actually looks like it might be the same thickness. This is always so hard to do. Yeah, it's about the same thickness, give or take. This deck, because of its shape, is a little bit harder to shuffle than this one. It's not impossible, and I actually quite like the size and shape of this. I also love that red edging, and I really like this deck. So, you know, it's just, you can see how bowed it's getting. Again, that does not bother me. But, this is that same cardstock. This actually shuffles a little easier. I think it's because of the shape. But we will come back to that presently. I'm going to walk through the deck just so you can see it if you're not familiar with it. But it is not a unknown deck. It's not new. It's just this new edition of it. But it comes with a really large book, which I haven't yet looked at. But it also gives you enlargements of the card images so that you can sort of see them more up close, or you could buy this much larger version in addition, but this just feels more usable. The artwork is Amy Zerner's sort of famous, I would sort of say tapestry art, but it's just stunning. It's this textile art, sort of collage, sort of embroidery, and it's really a stunner. So this, like I said, has been a deck that I've kind of been waiting for, and just, I guess, maybe waiting on the right time to get it, and I happened to be sitting right in front of their table most of the days I was there, and so I finally picked it up. And you can see it's got this matte gold edge, which I prefer. If something's going to be gilded, I prefer the matte. It's a little less ostentatious to me. So let's just walk through. It's a busy deck, and there are no borders. So if you get overwhelmed by busy images, this isn't for you. Much like the one I just pulled, the Bone Fire. Why can't I ever remember? Because there's another one that Avalon made, and I always get it confused. This is the Bone Fire, and that was what, the Bloodstone or the Bone Stone. I have a bad memory. The back is their interleaved, interwoven initials. This is what the back has sort of always looked like to some degree. It's just a really beautiful art. It sort of feels like a Victorian Valentine. It does tend to be a little more multicultural than, say, the Victorian Romantic. Not much, but it sort of, every time I pick up the Victorian Romantic, I kind of wish it was this. And I like the kind of, well, I'm reaching for the word because it's not too much. The indulgence of this, you know what I mean? Of the excess of it. It's tasty. It's for certain kinds of readings, that's fun. So, as always, I will shuffle and draw so you can see it, but I'll just walk through the deck. It's Rider-Waite-Smith, except maybe for this card, there aren't any major departures from fairly typical imagery. It does have sort of a collage-y feel, too, which, again, feels sort of Victorian, not in sort of a stuffy way. So it's like a Valentine. And so in this deck, too, the suit of cups is actually the suit of hearts. It's the only change. And is that in the same way here, too? I can't remember. Yes. They have a lot of decks and products, and Amy designs clothing. They're just astrologer. They're very interesting people. And they're actually one of the main presenters at the Reader's Studio next year. So if you were to go to that, you would see them present. Will I go next year? I'm not sure yet. I think so. I don't see why not. Who knows, though? Life being life. So yeah, I mean, I'm just showing you this. I assume you've probably seen this before. But it is really, really beautiful. And the quality in this case, as I said, it's like this seems to be the right cardstock for this size of card. The art isn't too small to be appreciated. The guidebook, if you want to expand it, has larger images. It's very usable. I think, I guess a little on the femme scale if you want to go there, but I don't play that game. And it looks really nice in spreads. So as always, I will spread it out for you. That sounded weirder than I meant it to. But fuck it. It's May. Is it Beltane? I think someone said today's Beltane. I don't know all those things. Really, it's Wednesday, so for me today is basically Mercury Day and St. Expedite Day. Because Mercury and St. Expedite are syncretized in some traditions. Not that you came here to learn about that, but Mercury and St. Expedite are two of my guys. Here we are in swords. There's a little bit of a hue change you can see too as we go from suit to suit, which I always find lovely in readings in particular because it can kind of give you a tonal shift as we go through. But again, it's Rider-Waite-Smith. It's an iteration of Waite-Smith that is quite pretty. And again, handmade and unique. And so this was a pretty influential deck, I would say, too. In its art style, and there's a reason why it keeps coming back into print in different iterations, because I think people really respond to it. And again, in this case, the size I find quite attractive. And the reason why I got this bag just happened to be out on one of the swap tables, or on the swap table, which is the thing that they do at the Reader's Studio, where you can sort of bring stuff you don't want anymore and grab something you do want. I'm willing to bet I probably brought about 20 decks, if not more, and maybe about 15 books, maybe less. But I definitely left with less than I arrived with, which was one of my goals. And though I did buy more than I intended to. But fuck it. It's funny, too, because I was thinking, like, I don't... my YouTube channel gets far less visits than it used to. And I think that a lot of YouTube creators are finding that right now. I don't know if that's the algorithm. I don't know if it's that more people are sort of on TikTok. But I was thinking, like, I never really... I've said this before. I never really meant to do reviews and walkthroughs of decks on my channel, and it just sort of became a thing I did. Partly to sort of make content, partly because I have opinions, partly because I actually enjoy doing it. But I keep thinking, like, maybe I want to sort of focus less on that in the future. But the other side of the coin is, like, it's hard to come up with new techniques and tutorials. So, I don't know. I don't know whether... But I'm not buying as many decks, despite this sort of haul, as I used to. So, there's that, too. And again... if no one's watching the videos, do you still keep making them? I don't know. I mean, I enjoy doing it, so I'm not going anywhere. Now, like I said, this shuffles much better than the other version. And it also shuffles a lot better than some other Red Feather decks I have. It does not shuffle perfectly. And I can see this cardstock getting creased if you bend it. But, for Red Feather, to me, this is a dramatic improvement. On other decks I've had from them. And I tend not to use their decks, even when I really like them, because they've had so many production issues, cardstock issues, editing issues. And this is my thing with a lot of publishers. It's like, I recognize you're here to make money, but could you at least pretend to care about the quality of your product? When you have to keep returning or exchanging a deck because the print run is bad, isn't that ultimately more expensive than just doing it right the first way to begin with? So, I don't know. And I wouldn't, in some cases I'd say, well, the pandemic and da-da-da, but they always had issues. So, anyway, that's my monologue about Red Feather. I did happen to notice that the representative at the Red Feather booth this year was not the person it used to be, so I don't know if maybe they're going through some changes, or if it just happened that someone came into a new role, or whatever, I don't know. I'm not super interested in the politics of Red Feather and Schiffer, but anyway, the point being that though it is not perfect, this printing is much better than others I have from them, and there you go. So let's just lay them out. I talked about this when I did the I've lost it again. The Bonefire deck. In that when a busy deck doesn't have borders. And the borders on this deck, this edition, not only were borders, but they were busy borders. So they didn't provide relief for the eye. Which I think a border should do on art like this. But given that there isn't one, I tend to leave a little space in between cards when, for example, I'm going to do a 9-card spread like this. Which is my principal method of reading. So I've never read the book that came with this, and who knows if I will, because tarot books, have to sort of do something new for me. But yeah, no, you can see, I think it's quite a beautiful deck, and it reads really nicely, and I think, again, one of the better offerings from this particular printer, publisher. And not a new deck, but quite a beautiful one. I think a really special edition. And quite fond of it. And likely will become, part of the rotation. Although I really do tend to be only using the the Sun and Moon Tarot right now, which is the only one I used almost all weekend, aside from the Voyager, which I used for one other thing. But anyway, yeah, this is the Zerner Farber Tarot in its new edition from Red Feather, and quite nicely done. And I always, have to have a caveat with Red Feather, because you never really know. They have been known to have production issues. So check your cards, when they get delivered, if you order them, and just, if you don't get good quality, write to them, because they're not going to change unless we do. So this one seems to be fine, but that I haven't heard any issues. But I know that other decks over the years have had, including some that I picked up. So just know that. So anyway, beautiful, beautiful new edition of the Zerner Farber Tarot. Hope that you enjoyed this, and hope that you're taking care and being well and being good and all the things. And if you're not, then take care, be well, be good, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye.